That said, a lot of them have also, to echo the point made by my colleague here, have gone into the private sector. But the sort of training that you can get by
asking them what makes a good personal statement, what makes it stand out. So for example, if you would say, I want to study international relations.
It's a huge investment for you to make. So don't just say, oh, international relations sounds quite fun. Because you don't want to get there.
Peace studies as an area is concerned with issues of conflict and security and how to resolve those. And in that sense, it spills over into
development studies is a very, very policy-focused area. So you analyse situations with a view to developing policy conclusions.
So the final one on our list was peace studies. Briefly, how would we differentiate peace studies? What makes it different? I'll ask that to a university graduate.
Peace studies as an area is concerned with issues of conflict and insecurity and how to resolve those. And in that sense, it spills over into issues of international relations and develop. So again, it's the focus. I mean, in terms of the way the subject is evolved, it's predominantly from a political science perspective, but not necessarily exclusively in that way. So conflict and insecurity, those are the buzzwords, and resolution of those.
So it's almost an application of some of the same disciplines to a certain field.
Sure.
Okay. Now we know a little bit about what the subjects are. The next question: what kind of careers do students have after studying these subjects? Could I ask the University of Leeds to give me some suggestions?
Yeah, sure. I mean, students at Leeds who've done international relations and global development have gone on to a whole range of jobs, including working for NGOs, the World Bank, the UN, policy development. They've also gone into a whole range of related careers like politics and journalism, and some have also gone into research. So there's a whole range.
I think people looking to study now are thinking about a career when they choose a subject. Kizo, you went to study development. How did you think about your career when you were studying and afterwards?
Yeah, especially Japanese. So my friend mostly choose related with the JICA, Japan International Corporation. Yeah, it's a very easy way to get related with developing studies or developing issues, especially. So after you finish the study, probably if you can get such kind of job, you can go into Africa or you can go to the Asian developing country. So.
Great. At what sort of time do people start looking for a job in your experience? As soon as they go and study?
Yeah, most of my friends get the job after finishing the university. But yeah, the time was not good. I mean, the economic situation was not good at the time. So some students cannot find a job at the time. But yeah, now they got a job. So related with most of them related with the development area like JICA or like UN.
Rowan, can I add to that? Because in Bradford as well, I'd say that NGOs, research, government positions are all part of what people go on to do. But interestingly, and what might be surprising, is that also people from the military will come in and people from the police force, because if you think about it, a lot of what they do is conflict resolution and trying to not just go to war to fight, but actually a lot of the work that they'll do is trying to resolve conflicts before they escalate. And the police particularly will need to do that. And we've offered training courses to the police force from Cuba. And I have a friend who's a Marine, and he's studied it as well, because this is a lot of what they will do in those kind of jobs.
One other area that hasn't been mentioned is that the private sector is increasingly involved in development. And certainly, of course, increasingly active in many developing countries. So another one of the routes, and probably I see as a growing career opportunity, will be working in some way with private sector organisations that have investments in developing countries, perhaps also those that have corporate social responsibility programs in developing countries. And I also think there's a real opportunity at the intersection of profit and corporate social responsibility around social enterprise and new social enterprise models that private sector companies are bringing out. So as well as government NGOs, the traditional routes as well, I'd say think about, look for private sector opportunities as well.
In the School of Development Studies at East Anglia, we've had a number of people go off into international organisations, and everyone seems to want to join JICA. And when I've been doing projects in very recent years, for example in Pakistan, there were 2 East Anglia former students, one with a PhD in economics, one with an MA in social development, in the JICA office in Islamabad. When I worked in Vietnam, there was a student, one of my own students whom I taught myself extensively, an economist working in the JICA office in Hanoi. When I visit the Institute of Developing Economies in Chiba in Tokyo, a number of UEA students are there. When I visit JICA in Tokyo, a number of UEA students are there. I'm having lunch tomorrow with a former UEA student from last year who now works in JICA. Another of my students who did a gender MA some time ago is in JICA, was in JICA in Bolivia. So our students, a lot of them have gone into JICA. But that said, a lot of them have also, to echo the point made by my colleague here, have gone into the private sector. That the sort of training that you can get by doing studies in development studies, in the cases I know best in economics, you're quite employable in the private sector in consultancies. So actually it's very difficult to get kind of permanent job, an upfront job in JICA. There's huge competition, very few vacancies. Most people who go into JICA on 2 or 3 year contracts for particular projects. But also a lot of people find, having looked at the development, direct development jobs, find they can function very well in firms of private consultants, for example. So there's a lot of demand for that. So yes, our best students go into JICA, but many of our average students do indeed go into gender MA some time ago.